Hey guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to a new video. Before we get into the video, I should probably acknowledge the fact that I cut off all my hair. I actually just did this today. I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. I don't know, I woke up this morning and I was like, I need to cut off all this hair. I think I'm having a midlife crisis. It's fine, but I like it. So yeah, that's a thing that happened. But today I'm here to film the mid-year book freakout tag. This is my favorite video of the year. Honestly, I love filming this. I love watching this. I think it's a great way to check in since we're halfway through the year and see how reading's been going, how my reading goals have been going, which is not well. So yeah, let's just get into the tag, shall we? So question number one is always the biggest question right off the bat, and that is best book of the year so far. And this was hard. I think I definitely have a lot less favorites by this time this year than I did by this time last year. However, all of my favorites are kind of on the same level. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to pick between them, but I finally picked one, and that is The Sword of Cayenne by M.L. Wang. This book is everything. It just has everything. I read this back in January. I have not been able to stop thinking about it. There's lines that run constantly in my head from this book that are just like the most emotional things ever. This just has everything. Like I said, it's got really cool elemental magic, but it's done in unique and interesting ways. It has these amazing cinematic battle scenes, and it also has just really emotional moments, really emotional interpersonal relationships, and it's just so good. It's everything that I could have wanted in a fantasy, and it's a standalone. And out of all the great books that I've read this year, this is the one that I keep going back to, that I keep thinking about. So this has to be the one. It's the best book that I've read so far this year. I really don't know what I will read that will beat this out, because it was so good. So yeah, best book of the year so far. Question number two is the best sequel you've read so far this year. That was a lot easier for me because hands down, that goes to We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faizal. This is the second book in the Sands of Arawiya duology, the first book being We Hunt the Flame. It is so rare for me to enjoy a second book in the series or a concluding book in the series better than the first one. I'm the kind of person that always, not always, there's exceptions of course, but usually end up enjoying the first book in a series more than any of the other books, simply because I love being introduced to new characters and new worlds and then falling in love with them, and I always feel like the magic and the perfection of what is the first setup book I never get that feeling again throughout subsequent books in the series. It was different with this one. I love We Free the Stars even more than We Hunt the Flame, and I adored We Hunt the Flame. It is this beautiful desert fantasy that follows our main character Saphira, who has to disguise herself as a man to provide for her village and her family, and she one day gets the opportunity to go on this quest basically to restore magic back to her land and release it from its curse. And along the way she meets these people. I love the found family aspects of this, and I also love the slow burn romance between Saphira and Nazir, the Prince of Death. Hands down my favorite sequel of the year so far. A definite contender for my favorite book of the year. It was hard to pick between this one and Sword of Cayenne, but yeah, absolutely love this. Question number three, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I have a couple of those actually. Okay, I have three to talk about. The first one being Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Look how beautiful this is. I haven't read this yet because I was waiting for this beautiful UK edition to come to me, and it took some time because it's from the UK. But I just think that this cover is so much more beautiful than the US cover. But anyway, I have it now and I cannot wait to get to it. And then of course we've got Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I am dying to read this book, and I will probably pick this up as soon as I'm done with the book I'm currently reading. But it's the new Andy Weir. one of my favorite sci-fi authors. After reading The Martian from him, absolutely loved it, so I cannot wait to read another sci-fi from him. And then the third one I have is The Library of the Dead, and this is by T.L. Huchu, not an author that I've read from before. In fact, I think that this is a debut, if I'm not mistaken. And in this we are following a young girl who is a ghost, what is it called? A ghost talker. She has the ability to see and communicate with ghosts, and it takes place in Scotland, and it just seems like it's gonna have this like dark, interesting atmosphere, and I don't know what it is about this book, but I'm just obsessed with it, even though I haven't read it yet, and I just really want to read it, and I hope I'm gonna love it as much as I'm expecting to. So yeah, this is definitely one I want to get to as well. Next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and there's a few that I'm really excited about, but I think the one that I'm most excited about is The Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the sequel to A Deadly Education, which I read last year and absolutely loved. I think it comes out in like September, I'm not sure, but I cannot wait. I am so excited to see what happens next in this deadly magic school. And question number 5 is your biggest disappointment. I think the book that disappointed me the most this year so far has been Makeup Breakup by Lily Menon, aka Sanjia Menon. Sanjia Menon wrote the Dimpleverse books. I adore every single one of those books. They've all been 5 or at least 4 stars for me, and this was her first adult book. This was her adult romance debut, and I thought it was going to be everything. Like, I thought I was going to absolutely love it. There was no question in my mind, and I started reading this and I was just so bored. I was so bored by it. I didn't connect to the main characters. I didn't feel the chemistry between them. It was just so lackluster for me. I mean, it wasn't a bad book for sure. I gave it 3 stars, but still, when I was expecting to absolutely adore it, and I really didn't, it was a huge disappointment for me, unfortunately. And then of course the next question is biggest surprise, and for me that has to go to Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I had a pretty good feeling that I was going to enjoy this, especially after hearing so many people rave about it, but I did not expect to adore it the way that I do. This is my new favorite middle grade of all time, one of my new favorite books of all time. I just did not expect to connect with Amari as a main character so much. She's so much like me as I was as a little girl. Like, not how I am now, but when I was a little girl, when I was her age, that was me. Amari is me. Getting to see a young black girl main character in a children's fantasy book, like, I didn't have that growing up, you know what I mean? And I'm just so happy that it exists, and it was a huge surprise how much I loved this. It made me cry. It made me cry, happy and sad tears, and just, it was so emotional, the whole experience. Yeah, huge surprise for me. Absolutely love it. I mean, please go read Amari and the Night Brothers if you have not yet. Question number 7 is favorite new author, debut or new to you? And it's hard for me to pick just one. Like, obviously I want to say Emma Wang because she wrote my favorite book of the year so far, and I will definitely read absolutely everything that she writes ever. So definitely a new favorite author for me, but I also want to mention like Rebecca Roanhorse. I read Black Sun for the first time this year, and Andrea Stewart, because I read The Bone Shard Daughter for the first time, and I loved these books so much. I loved the writing in particular, and also like Shannon Smart, who wrote Witches Deep in Gold. You know, all of them. I can't choose just one. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. I don't have one this year, not really, so I'm gonna change this to mean like newest favorite ship, and that has to go to Serapio and Shiala from Black Sun. I love them together. I have literally dog-eared chapters in here where the two of them are together, because just them sitting down together talking on a boat was like magical to me. I don't know how Rebecca Roanhorse did it, but you could feel the chemistry between them, and I just adore them so much, and I want them both to be okay, and I'm so worried, and I really need the second book. But yeah, newest favorite ship for sure is Shiala and Serapio. Next question is newest favorite character. Once again, I cannot pick just one. So the first one is Misaki from The Sword of Kaigan, because Misaki is another character that I can relate very heavily to. Misaki has hidden so much of herself and who she is to fit into society's norms of what a wife should be and what a mother should be. And I relate to that a lot, especially as a teenager and even in my 20s. I did that a lot. I changed who I was. I hid and suppressed parts of who I was so that I could fit in with the people around me. And I really like felt for her and what she was going through. And also she's a badass and I love her. But I also want to mention Jovis from The Bone Shard Daughter. I love him, and I love his type of character, I guess. He is the reluctant hero. All he wants to do is find his wife, but he ends up becoming a hero. People are writing songs about him, and he's like, I don't want this. And I love that. It's just accidentally happening that he's doing these great things, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't want the fame. He doesn't want to be the hero. I just love that about him. I love him so much as a character. And Mephi, of course. I love Mephi. Okay, my battery died. I apologize if the angle has changed, but I had to change out the battery. Where was I? Question number 10, I think? I don't know when it cut off. Question number 10, yes, a book that made you cry. Besides The Sword of Kaigan, because that book made me sob uncontrollably, I also want to mention Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. This book hurt so bad. I cried so much. Like, I'm a crier. I've mentioned this before, but I cry very easily. I'm a very emotional person, but this book made me cry hysterically and sob to the point where I woke up with my eyes swollen the next morning. I mean, sob until I couldn't breathe. I've talked about this before. I think it was in my vlog that this looks like such a cute, fluffy contemporary, doesn't it? But oh no, oh no, it is devastating. Absolutely devastating. I loved it though. Sometimes you need a good cry like that, but yeah, this probably made me cry just as much as The Sword of Kaigan. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. I, once again, have multiple answers for this. First, I want to mention Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto, because as far as humor goes, it's very subjective, right? And like, I don't find things funny that a lot of other people find funny, so when people say that a book is funny, I'm like, is it really though? But this was hilarious. This made me die laughing, like just die laughing. And I loved it so, so much, and getting to laugh like that in a book is definitely a huge win for me and just made me so incredibly happy. But I also want to mention another book that made me happy for a completely different reason, and that's Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This made me happy simply because it was the first Jamaican-inspired fantasy that I've ever read, and it made me so happy to feel so seen and represented like I've never felt before in fantasy. So that made my little heart just so happy. So I had to mention it. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. It hasn't quite gotten here yet. It's supposed to be here today, but it is the LitJoy exclusive edition of The Strange the Dreamer duology. I'll try to pop up a picture here if I can find one. It's so gorgeous. Like, I haven't even gotten them yet, but just from what I've seen from the pictures, they are stunning. They are completely redesigned. They come in this beautiful slipcase. They're like signed and annotated, and there's artwork, and I'm so excited for it. I cannot wait for that to come. Like I said, it should be here later today. I'm so excited. But yeah, I pre-ordered that back in March when they first opened pre-orders for it, and it's finally getting shipped out now in June. So definitely the most beautiful books that I bought this year. They're stunning. And then the final question number 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, there is a lot. Okay, so I made a video, maybe I'll link it up above, of at the beginning of the year of series that I want to start and finish this year. I think there were a total of 7 series on that list, and I don't think I'm going to get through them all before the end of the year, but I want to at least start all of them, so get through the first book in each series. So that's 7 books that I need to read before the end of the year. And then one of my goals for this year was to read 60% of my pre-2021 TBR, which came out to 90 books. I still have 43 of those books yet to read. So 43 and 7, that's 50 books, my friends, that I need to read before the end of the year, which is a lot, but totally doable. because that only amounts to like 8 or 9 books per month. However, am I going to focus solely on those books? Probably not. No way. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I would really like to at least get through those 43 books that I really wanted to get through before the end of the year. Yeah, a lot of books. That's the answer. And that was the mid-year book freak out tag. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Do let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or opinions on the books that I talked about today. I love hearing from you down in the comments, but that's gonna be it from me today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.